In the quaint village of Oakwood, nestled between the rolling hills and sprawling green meadows, there lived a 73-year-old man named Silas Winston. Silas was a soft-spoken, gentle soul known for his kindness and generosity. With grey hair that fluttered softly in the breeze and deep-set blue eyes that twinkled with a hint of mischief, he had a demeanor that drew people towards him. Despite his age, he moved with a certain vitality, fueled by an unwavering passion he held deep within his heart. Silas lived at the edge of the village in a quaint, ivy-covered cottage surrounded by a garden brimming with wildflowers. The villagers would often see him tending to his plants or walking along the narrow cobbled paths with his beloved scruffy dog, Jasper, who had been his loyal companion for many years. As far as the villagers were concerned, Silas was an enigma, and they often exchanged curious glances and whispers about his eccentric habits. Every evening, just as the sun began its descent beyond the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet, Silas would load his ancient yet reliable larder with mysterious packages. The villagers often speculated wildly about what he carried in the car, with theories ranging from hidden treasures to strange artifacts of an unknown past. But the truth was far from those wild tales. Silas's nightly ritual involved something much deeper. You see, 5 years prior, Silas had stumbled upon a frightened puppy, abandoned and shivering amidst the fallen leaves in the nearby Ravensshire forest. The little creature, with its big brown eyes and matted fur, tugged at Silas's heartstrings. Unable to turn his back, Silas had brought the pup home, named him Jasper, and vowed to take care of him. That simple act of kindness ignited a fire within Silas, leading him to venture into the woods night after night, where he soon discovered other lost and abandoned animals in need of compassion. Ravensshire Forest was a place of majesty and mystery, with towering trees that whispered secrets to the wind and a rich tapestry of life hidden among its greenery. It became a sanctuary for Silas and his furry companions. As he wandered through the forest, he learned to identify the various trails that led to the nooks and crannies where animals sought refuge. With bags filled with dog food, leftover scraps, and even blankets for warmth, Silas would silently tread through the underbrush, leaving gifts for any strays that might cross his path. Within weeks, he would find himself feeding not just 1 or 2 dogs, but a growing pack that had come to rely on him. With each visit, he nurtured a beautiful bond with these dogs, each one with its own unique story of hardship and resilience. Silas felt a sense of purpose like never before, fueled by the gratitude shining in the dogs' eyes as they gathered around him, tails wagging in joyful abandon. There was Maury, a stoic German shepherd with a history of abuse but a heart full of loyalty, Willow, a timid beagle who had been abandoned in a city alley, and Luna, an energetic husky mix who had escaped from her previous owner. Each dog became a vital part of Silas's life, and in turn, he became the heart of their newfound family. The dogs weren't just pets to Silas, they were companions who understood his silent struggles and filled his life with laughter and warmth. With Jasper by his side, he would spend hours recounting stories from his younger days, his voice echoing softly through the woods, as the dogs lounged around him, their ears perked, drinking in every word. In that tranquil setting, time seemed to stand still, and for Silas, every evening was a reminder of the beauty that exists in kindness and love. But on one particularly foreboding evening, as darkness began to settle over Ravensshire Forest, a chill ran down Silas's spine. Dark clouds gathered overhead, blocking out the moonlight that often illuminated his path. Despite the unsettling atmosphere, Silas forged ahead, his heart filled with determination. He knew that his furry friends were waiting for him, and the thought of them hungry sent a wave of urgency through him. As Silas navigated the familiar winding path, he felt a sense of foreboding enveloping him. Just as he reached a particularly shaded area of the forest, a sudden rush of adrenaline surged through him. The engines of 2 dark SUVs roared to life, cutting through the tranquility of the night. With a screech, they blocked the narrow road ahead, leaving Silas's heart racing uncontrollably. Before he could even think to reverse, a group of 5 masked men emerged from the shadows, their intentions as dark as the night surrounding them. Silas's breath caught in his throat as they approached, their presence overpowering. Out of the car, shouted one of the men, his voice sharp and menacing. Panic surged through Silas as he stepped out, trembling yet resolute. "Please," he pleaded, raising his hands to show he was unarmed. "I have nothing. I'm merely a kind soul. But the robbers were undeterred. They ignored his words and proceeded to ransack his car, throwing aside the bags of dog food and old containers as if they were worthless. In the depths of Silas's heart, he understood that these men did not just seek material gain. They were desperate and reckless, willing to resort to violence. The burden of fear pressed heavily on him as he thought of his furry friends, who awaited his return in the woods. Just as the leader of the group grabbed Silas by the collar, demanding, "Where's the money, old man?" a low growl pierced through the tension in the air. The men paused, confusion flickering across their faces. And then a commotion erupted from the forest. Out of the shadows emerged Jasper, Silas's loyal companion, followed by a legion of dogs, Maury, Willow, Luna, and more that Silas had rescued over the years, each one determined to protect him. Their eyes glowed with intensity as they filled the clearing, forming a barricade around Silas. "Is this your protection?" the leader scoffed, but fear crept into his voice as the dogs, brave and fierce, barked with authority. "Get out of here!" Silas shouted, his voice steadier than he felt. And just as if orchestrated by some unseen hand, the pack lunged forward together, defending their guardian with everything they had. The sheer ferocity of the dogs startled the robbers. Maury charged at the nearest man, snapping his teeth, while Jasper led the pack, barking commands, rallying them in beautiful harmony. As the forest erupted into chaos, Silas felt a surge of pride for his furry friends and an overwhelming wave of gratitude washed over him. The robbers stumbled back, disoriented and terrified, unable to comprehend the magnitude of loyalty that surrounded Silas. As the dogs growled and advanced, the criminals lost their bravado and fled, abandoning their plans and their dignity in the face of the beloved pack. And just like that, in a moment of pure courage and unity, Silas was safe. The once terrifying scene of masked men dissolved into just another story of resilience and the bond of love between a man and his dogs. As the last shadow of the SUVs disappeared into the night, Silas knelt down, overwhelmed with emotion. Tears filled his eyes as he felt the gentle nudges of his pack surrounding him, their gleaming eyes conveying concern and undying loyalty. "You did it, my friends," Silas whispered, flattening his palm against Jasper's soft fur while ruffling Maury's ears. The dogs wagged their tails, tongues lolling in joy, pleased at their victory and their beloved guardian. Word of the heroic event spread rapidly through the village of Oakwood. People emerged from their homes, drawn by curiosity and concern, only to discover Silas standing triumphantly in the clearing of the forest, surrounded by his pack of loyal dogs. The villagers, who had once treated Silas with skepticism, were now filled with admiration and respect. They came to see him as a hero, a man who had transformed from a solitary figure into a guardian of not just his furry companions but a symbol of hope for the community. In the days that followed, the villagers gathered supplies to support Silas and his mission. They filled his home with dog food, blankets, and toys, and soon they started to join him on his nightly excursions through the forest, eager to witness the magic of their beloved pack and to learn from the man whose heart held so much love. As winter approached, the villagers organized community events to raise awareness for animal welfare, advocating for the protection of the lives Silas had saved and those still in need. They set up animal shelters and foster care programs, inspired by Silas's unwavering devotion. And with every passing evening, they joined him in the woods, creating a rhythm of compassion that echoed through the hearts of many. For Silas, the years passed like the seasons, each moment draping his life in layers of warmth and joy. He continued to drive into Ravensshire Forest, not only carrying bags of food and supplies but sharing stories and laughter with those who had become like family. The bond between Silas and the dogs grew deeper as they rallied together, facing the challenges of the world as a united front. Over time, a combination of trust and love had transformed the pack into an inseparable force of nature. The dogs became ambassadors of kindness throughout Oakwood, and people who had once turned their backs on abandoned animals now found themselves lending a hand. One evening, Silas arrived at the clearing with a surprise for his canine companions. He had partnered with a local carpenter to build a doghouse sanctuary at the edge of the forest, an expansive and warm refuge for the dogs and a space for villagers to come together and volunteer. As he unveiled the construction project, the dogs danced around him, feeling the joy of community spirit weave into their lives. The sanctuary, adorned with colorful paint and a welcoming sign that read "Home for the Forgotten," soon became a hub of activity. Villagers would gather there after long days, bringing food, toys, and love for the dogs, and for Silas. With every wagging tail and joyful bark, the realization grew that Silas was not just a guardian to those dogs, he was the embodiment of the community spirit, a daily reminder of the power of kindness that could drive change. Yet even within this paradise of camaraderie, Silas never forgotten those he had once found wandering alone in the woods. He made it a point to share stories of the dogs' pasts, teaching children about empathy and compassion, showing them the impact of love. He was often found in the center of the sanctuary, grandchildren sitting with their parents at his feet as he narrated tales of how he had met each dog and the resilience they had shown. As the years rolled on, Silas began to see the fruits of his labor blossom within the hearts of the village. The once quiet Oakwood began to reek of warmth, as neighbors greeted one another more positively. Families would often come to adopt dogs, their hearts opening with love for the very animals that had once been invisible in the shadows. Silas, now a respected elder in Oakwood, often reflected on this incredible journey he had embarked upon. The village had changed, had healed, and he cherished every moment shared with his beloved pack. With warmth in his heart and a family made of fur and friendship, Silas knew that kindness, once extended, became a ripple, reaching out to touch many lives. And so, each evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon in a shower of golden glows and the stars began to sparkle in the vast expanse above, Silas Winston would drive into Ravensshire Forest. With Jasper by his side and the loyal pack trotting close behind, he ventured forward, a guardian not just of the forest but of all living beings seeking a place to belong. In a world where darkness sometimes looms, it only takes one heart to make a difference. Silas's legacy would forever shine in the echoes of laughter from children, in the grateful barks from rescued animals, and in the gentle camaraderie of a village brought together by love, compassion, and the indomitable spirit of one extraordinary man. As Silas would say, in the heart of kindness, we discover our true selves. With every wagging tail beside him, he found that truth, and as the stars twinkled overhead, they bore witness to the beautiful tapestry of a life woven with love through the guardians of Ravensshire Forest.